And we are live for some week 2 chair league action on Heroes of the Storm. My name is Terrace Baz, and I am happy to bring you an exciting match between the Cosby Effect on the blue team and Obsidian Gaming on the red. The map's going to be Cursed Hollow, and we start with a fairly standard ban in the form of Falstad on Cosby Effect, followed by Sonya on Obsidian Gaming. And so both teams kind of showing what they're not feeling equipped to deal with at the moment. Cosby Effect worry about Falstad's large presence in all across the map, as it were, and Sonya's large damage output and single point presence as a big concern for Obsidian Gaming. And so a little bit in the tank for Cosby Effect, picking up Kalthus, who I think holds the record for the most patches on a single hero over the course of the game, and Obsidian Gaming wastes no time picking up ETC and Brightwing. Couple folks ready to shut that down as fast as possible. And ETC a pick that, while very powerful, definitely picking this early in the draft gives Cosby Effect plenty of time to come up with some responses to figure out how to deal with ETC. Brightwing being an excellent response in herself, what with lane presence and being able to just turn off any hero at any time. It's a fairly good pick, so I can see why Obsidian Gaming would take her off the go. And the draft is just flying through as Cosby Effect scoops up an incredible amount of damage in the form of Zagara, and Rhaegar there to provide that crucial backup for whoever Obsidian decides is going to be their target of choice. So we rocket into the second round of bans. Obsidian Gaming has a tank and support in hand. Cosby Effect doesn't seem to have one off the go. Already 2 taken off the board with the form of Sonya and ETC. So wouldn't be too terribly surprised to see a pickup, see another one taken off the table, since Obsidian Gaming is going to get the next series of picks. They have a lot of opportunity to remove much needed heroes from the table for Cosby Effect, because right now they don't have any sort of front line to speak of, but they've certainly got a very powerful back line that, if protected, will be in fairly good shape. But Obsidian Gaming taking a whole lot of time on this next ban. They're deep into their clock before they elect to remove Illidan. Another huge source of damage. I guess they're afraid of the instant detonation from Cosby Effect, with heals coming from Rhaegar and Illidan, living bombs scattering around, and just massive disruption from Illidan and Zagara. It's certainly something that can cause a large problem, and I can see why they would ban that there. Cosby Effect now on the back foot, trying to figure out how to respond to that ban. Obsidian Gaming, more than anything right now, is missing damage in its purest and rawest form. And I'm not sure if Cosby Effect has a whole lot of additional slots for that, so they may try and remove an option here from the table. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to take away Jaina. Been playing with Jaina, been on our team here lately, the Jackson 5, one of the least winning teams in Chair League history, but I found that enemy Jainas can almost single-handedly kill multiple people. Just Ring, Cone, Blizzard, just removes your health from full to nothing in instant time, and in the right hands can be a very powerful hero indeed. But Obsidian Gaming is going to throw Thrall in the big front line to unload damage, and Li Ming right behind him to support. So there's a couple of those damage pickups from Obsidian. Li Ming great at harassing and stalling those tribute channelings. So very useful hero. Gives, assuming she's got backup coming, she can hold down long enough to keep things going. Cosby Effect on their 4th and 5th pick, picking up their big beefy tank first. Going to be Johanna. one of the higher health pool heroes in the game, and more than anything, resistant to a lot of the crowd control effects from ETC and Thrall. Popping her trait lets her walk around mosh pits, stop them fairly quickly. It's definitely a good pick for dealing with some of the threats that Obsidian Gaming's showing so far. And 30-ish seconds for their last pick. They could go a lot of different directions here. They could rely on Johanna's big stout shield to protect them. They could try and give her a partner to help protect Zagara and Kelthus in the back. Or they could go for something really kind of bonkers. They could throw a Murky here, maybe a Vikings. Wouldn't expect to see an Abathur with this pick, but you never know. It's week 2, anything goes. And it's going to be a Nubarak to pierce through that front line of ETC and Thrall and try and gobble up Brightwing and Leeming. And there's the Viking pick from Obsidian Gaming. So it's going to be in their best interest to stall and delay as much as possible. And Cosby Effect's going to have to move with purpose and try and accelerate this game. So this should be an exciting one to watch for sure. We'll get queued up here in just a moment.
The swarm endures.
Teams talking to each other, trying to figure out how to make each of these teams work now that they know what heroes they've got and what heroes they're going to face down. I've here recently been playing a lot of Lost Vikings myself, and it looks like the other 4 heroes that were selected by Obsidian Gaming looked like they were picked with the Viking possibility in mind. They're a fairly good 4-man rotating death ball machine that can go around and respond to problem areas while the Vikings lane, and Brightwing should always have an escape route with a Viking in any given lane, so that's I mean, it's not that team doesn't require Lost Vikings to be good, but it does certainly benefit from it. So I'd be curious to see if this is something they've pulled off a lot, or if this is you know, early in the season, let's try something crazy, let's see how it works out. And we are alive, loaded into Cursed Hollow for some Week 2, last day before the Big Machines of War patch on Chair League. On the Cosby Effect on the blue team, we've got some heroes coming up that I'm going to total back on my list. We've got Big-Headed Foo on Zagara, we've got Malkaya on Johanna, we've got US Maps on Rhaegar, Synad on Kelthus, and Boots on Anubarak. And for Obsidian Gaming, we have Tim on the Lost Vikings, Kale on Brightwing, Grape Juice on Thrall, Confliction on Leeming, and Daltef on ETC. The gates are down, the teams are rushing towards imminent violence in the middle of the map. Some are. It's kind of a weird start. It's never quite normal when you have more than 10 heroes on the board. And so the Cosby Effect rushes out to find really nobody there to greet them. Except a quick kill on Zagara here in the bottom lane as the Obsidian Gaming just rushes straight down to bottom. No immediate response from Cosby Effect, and it looks like they're going to let Obsidian have this. So this is how it's going to start. Obsidian Gaming is just railroading straight through bottom, and Cosby Effect says, well, you know what? If you're going to do that, that means we're winning in 2 different lanes. So maybe we can turn this into some sort of advantage. Killing a Viking here would be a very advantageous position for them, because then they can start having a lane advantage. But as it stands, no kills on the side of Cosby Effect yet, as they're staring down a massive push just coming in from Obsidian Gaming here in the bottom lane. This is going to kind of be the story of the game here, at least for the early levels. I would expect to see Obsidian Gaming just group up in this tight, big, fierce pushing party, and every other lane's just kind of trying to hold on. Brightwing popping up to help hold mid as Olaf's stout body just absorbs tons of damage from Anubarak and Johanna. Looks like we've got a bit of a rotation here into mid, but Johanna should be completely fine with this. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it looks like Balog's got his days numbered. Anubarak and Kelthus dive in and start ripping him apart. And this is where Cosby Effect can start to do some damage. There's no one there to soak and oppose them, and amazingly, they are actually ahead in experience despite the extra bodies from Obsidian Gaming. So a good, excellent hold from Cosby Effect. They're going to be in great shape here. Both teams tied around level 4. Tribute's going to spawn in the top lane. Obsidian Gaming certainly has the positional advantage with several bodies ready to go to claim this Tribute. Cosby Effect rotating up to try and stall this and delay it. They should be here in time to get the interrupt, but it's going to be just barely. Big engagement coming down. Johanna grouping everybody together for a Leeming, or big damage coming out from Kelthus is going to take out ETC and Brightwing, and possibly more as they chase off Thrall and Balog. And the first Tribute is almost certainly going to go to Cosby Effect, largely due to the damage of Kelthus. One of the disadvantages of having a lot of those closely grouped heroes that you see with Thrall, with ETC is, and I guess even induced by Johanna on Cosby Effect's team, is that a lot of that damage can just combo off and really start multiplying itself. And so far, the gamble from Obsidian Gaming doesn't seem to be paying off. They're a Tribute down and a level down, but they may be starting to turn that around as they look for the takedown against Boots, and will secure it into the minion wave. I think Johnny Archer may have gotten credit for that. Props to Johnny Archer. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we've got Zagara doing her best to keep this lane pushed in, as the second Tribute's going to spawn in the top. So once again, Obsidian Gaming is going to have the positional advantage. They have almost 4 heroes in position to deal with it, but Cosby Effect quick to rotate up, so we should have a fairly strong engagement here as heroes from both sides start trickling in. Johanna going to begin the channel. Thrall just interrupting, Leeming trying to poke everything out. The full complement of Cosby Effect is here, and they have planted their flag on this Tribute, and they're going to claim it as ETC just keeps accepting damage from Cosby Effect and doesn't really have the health pool to re-engage on this team, much to the detriment of his teammates. And if you're Obsidian Gaming, this is reasonable. This is okay. You don't have to win the Tribute. You just have to make it take a long, long time, but you need to do that without losing heroes as ETC manages to escape. And they've managed to delay this long enough so that they're completely even on experience now. But again, getting away with this without suffering a hero takedown is going to be the catch, as Zagara finally manages to channel the Tribute, and we see that for all their trouble, Obsidian Gaming is going to get away with a fort in the bottom lane. Mid lane's fairly well at parity. Although Obsidian Gaming may be losing the fort here in the top lane. Only Balog here to stop the overwhelming damage bomb of Anubarak and Kelthus. But so far, a real close match. Cosby Effect does enjoy a 2 Tribute advantage on Obsidian Gaming. A minute experience lead, but lead nonetheless.
Shall we see who gathers
So we
tribute
see each
this
team
time?
trying to put pressure on some camp somewhere on the map. Tribute's going to spawn at bottom. Fun fact, because the last 2 tributes spawned in the top, the next one is guaranteed to be somewhere in the bottom. So fun Heroes of the Storm fact for you. Cosby Effect does not look like they're going to be in position to delay or take this tribute at all. Looks like they're happy just surrendering it and maintaining a lane presence for the moment. Maybe they're afraid of a long engagement where Obsidian collects 10s before Cosby Effect can. So certainly a reasonable gambit. Well, Johanna quite low on mana, able to tap out from the Sippy Cup and get back in the fight. Both teams at 10s here. Meanwhile, at the top, we've got Dance from Balog and Anubarak. It's gonna... actually, this may be the end of Balog here, as he tries to escape, tries to dance around, and is gonna get away. Big rotation coming up from Obsidian Gaming to cover the top lane. Somewhere along the line, Eric died. And the next tribute's gonna be in the bottom.
Earn my favor.
While all this is going, Vikings taking their siege camp in the bottom lanes. Probably not going to be hugely effective based on the position of this tribute spawn. But it is an experienced chunk nonetheless. Gives them some place to be. Full damage from both teams present. See a lot of big abilities coming out. Emerald Wind popped fairly early from Brightwing, trying to get some separation in between Obsidian Gaming and the Cosby Effect. Huge Sundering's going to slam into the wall. ETC is going to hold on long enough to get the takedown on Rhaegar. And so it's a 5v4 in favor of Obsidian Gaming, kind of, sort of. Depends how you count Vikings, after all. And this looks like a full-on engagement from Obsidian Gaming as they are chasing Cosby Effect to hell and beyond. Zagara just barely escaping, trying to get into that worm, and she is just barely not going to do it. Liming with the teleport forward is gonna take her out, and that's going to be another takedown for Obsidian Gaming, and they're going to equalize on tributes. So this is a strong position for Obsidian Gaming right now. They're trying to make sure they can keep it this way. They've already taken down the fort in the bottom, so taking out this boss here is going to be quite a threat that Cosby Effect has to deal with. I'm not sure if they're aware of it yet. Right now they're trying to chase out Eric and Olaf, so only one Viking left. Play Again is going to rectify that immediately. Boss is spawned in bottom and Tributes at top, and now Cosby Effect has a really difficult choice to make. Do we stop Boss, or do we allow them to get the first curse? And it looks like, kind of questioningly, Cosby Effect is going to go and try and stop this curse from happening, just abandoning Boss to go wreak havoc in the bottom lane. And I'm not completely certain this is the correct call here, but it seems to be working out for them so far as they get the Brightwing takedown. But to what end? They're kind of flanked from several sides, although some of those flanks comes from tiny little men in tiny little pajamas. But they are going to get the curse, which will help bottom lane for sure. That was an awful big gamble. I mean, it worked out for Cosby Effect. They managed to secure the curse, which will address some of the problems here in bottom. Boss should get itself killed on the next couple minion waves and the fort, or the keep rather. But if they lose that fight, I mean, that's disastrous. Then everything goes wrong. But they didn't. They took the gamble and they won, and they are looking to plant their flag squarely in the boss of Obsidian Gaming. They said, you know what? You want to steal bosses? Fine, we'll show you how to steal bosses. And they're showing zero fear here as they get a full engagement on from Obsidian Gaming. A huge Ancestral out on Johanna to keep her standing. Big surround on ETC. He's going to go down. Brightwing at critical health. Her living bomb pops. Brings it back to the rest of the team. Is she going to escape? No, she's not. Big fight over Boss. Leeming trying to desperately clean up whatever she can. And it's going to be a 4-for-1 on favor of Cosby Effect to get a Boss pushing in top lane. Now, the downside of all that is they weren't pushing doing that, so they weren't maybe accelerating damage towards the mid-keep. They kind of invested all that time and energy in this Boss here in the top lane. But it's still going to be a hot minute before most of Obsidian Gaming spawns, so This boss should do, I mean, it's easily through the wall in the top, and it may inflict some notable damage here on the top keep, but with everybody on Obsidian Gaming back in the action, it's unlikely that it's nothing a mule or two couldn't take care of. But most importantly, Cosby Effect gained momentum and they gained time. Now they're trying to plant their flag in other places on the map and try and keep pressure, particularly in that top lane, which is already threatened fairly low. So far, all's kind of quiet on the Nexus front. No huge engagements inbound to speak of. Still going to be quite a while before the next tribute pops. Both teams just kind of taking it in, and all said and told, relatively even. Both teams have their anti-boss lane with some minor damage on the keep, nothing too severe. Both teams relatively same experience. Kind of an engagement here in the middle. Just some dancing around, trying to fight a good angle of approach, but neither team willing to go too hard to try to get a takedown here. Li Ming sets her foot down, shoots some energy out, doesn't do a whole bunch of damage that Rhaegar can't quickly correct. And this is where the engagement looks like it's going to take out. Phoenix has dropped down, ETC moshes exactly 0 people except for those 3 people that decide to walk into it afterwards. But it might not be good for ETC. His health drops low. Kael'thas in hot pursuit by Thrall. So it might be a 1-for-1 here as no, a big Ancestral on Kael'thas is going to save him, but not ETC. Vikings are going to escape the claws of Anubarak and Johanna. Meanwhile, we've got a big retreat from Kael'thas, who's expended his giant Rhaegar heal to little avail. Anubarak trying to stall long enough as the damage bomb comes down squarely on Li Ming's shoulders. And we are back to tributes. Obsidian Gaming, if they can collect this, will get a curse of their own. And Olaf may be the guy to do it if he can move his fat, lardy self there in time. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, as Zagara just pops out of the worm and says, I'm going to take this away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it, because you're overweight. Tribute goes to the side of the Cosby Effect, and we are still holding fairly even in terms of experience. Both teams at on the cusp of level 17. So it's going to be a long time before a talent advantage comes into play, and we're getting close to that stage of the game where, regardless of map objectives, regardless of action on the board, a big, solid, decisive win in a team fight could spell the end of the game. Cosby Effect make a break for their boss. Obsidian Gaming managed to suss it out, and it looks like they're going to be intercepted on the way by Cosby Effect. Vikings summoned to the battlefield to help, and boss's health drops critically low, and this may be the team fight that winds up deciding the whole thing, as the boss's health keeps plummeting, but so does the health of most people on Cosby Effect. As Anubarak falls down, a big Ancestral is just going to be just too late, and Obsidian Gaming is going to successfully steal the boss and a 3-hero kill. And so remember, this keep has already suffered some damage from earlier boss attack, the same boss in fact. And so with only Kael'thas and Rhaegar here to defend it, this keep is certainly doomed. And Obsidian Gaming is going to follow this up with a curse, and this could be a devastating amount of damage if Rhaegar and Kael'thas can't hold off for about 15 seconds. That's still a tall order as they stare down an entire team from Obsidian Gaming with a siege camp and a boss backup, and that may be a bit too much to ask for. 5 seconds until the team's back. They will spawn in time to interact with this fight. Mosh Pit just buying his team just a bit more time for Obsidian Gaming. Core's down to 50%. A lot of damage coming on the board, but very little of it on the boss. And I think at this point, the boss on his own is going to be able to take out the core. And so that's likely going to do it. Obsidian Gaming is gonna take this game with coming back from the deficit to use vocabulary words, which are good for saying things. But no, a good comeback from Obsidian Gaming. They were definitely in the hole for a part of that. The rotating bomb squad from the early game Took a while for them to get a foothold. It did cost them a bit of an experience lead, but once tributes started popping, the Vikings really started paying dividends in terms of getting them back in the game. And what a good turnaround, and I wonder how that game would have gone if after the Cosby effect secured their first curse, if they just taken all of their heroes and just rammed a lane, just gone straight through, say, bottom, and try to just secure a keep rather than going for the boss. Granted, it did keep Obsidian Gaming locked up at the boss as well, so it's not like they were able to respond to just the naked waves of minions pushing by themselves, which did significant damage. I think it got them at least one fort, maybe two, not counting the top. So I wonder how that would have gone if they hadn't gone for boss there. But it was certainly a close match. Could have gone either way a whole lot of times there. But it was that last boss fight in the bottom lane that Obsidian Gaming sussed out and managed to take a big use of Emerald Wind from Brightwing to guarantee that. That collection. I'm generally not a huge fan of Emerald Wind, but it certainly has its use in that case. So, an excellent game from both teams. It was a pleasure to have cast it, but unfortunately there is only one W, and today that W goes to Obsidian Gaming. So well played, both teams. My name's been Terrace Baz, and I'll see y'all in the Nexus. Take care.